My name is Rebecca Lawson, and at 35, I thought I had seen the worst of my family's greed. I was wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. It all started last spring, the day my younger brother Adam called to announce he was engaged to Marissa, a 30-year-old Instagram influencer with 50,000 followers, a curated smile, and a personality that radiated Instagram perfection. I run Lawson Gems, a high-end jewelry store in Lincoln, Nebraska. I built it from scratch, starting with sketches on scraps of paper in a tiny studio apartment, spending nights hunched over a drawing board, calculating costs, negotiating with gemstone suppliers in New York, learning the trade from scratch because no one in my family had ever supported me. Every piece of jewelry I sold was my creation, my sweat, my blood, my obsession. Every dollar in that store was earned, often at the expense of sleep, social life, and sometimes even my sanity. Yet none of that mattered. To my family, I wasn't Rebecca, the hard-working sister who carved a name for herself in a small city. I was their personal ATM. The call came one Thursday morning. My phone buzzed as I sorted invoices at my desk. Adam's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated, sensing excitement, danger, and entitlement all rolled into one. He grinned when I answered, practically glowing. "We're getting married at the Hilton Lincoln," he said. 30 guests, top-tier catering, champagne, floral arrangements, the works. $60,000 total. You're covering it, right? The words hit me like a punch. My hand tightened around my coffee mug, nearly spilling it. Adam, $60,000? My voice was steadier than I felt, but the tremor underneath betrayed me. You do realize I have a business to run, right? The store isn't some endless money machine. Marissa, sitting beside him, tilted her head and smiled with that Instagram-perfect grin. Her voice was sugary, soft, but the words cut sharper than any knife. But you're doing so well with your jewelry business, Rebecca. This is a family moment. You wouldn't want to let us down, would you? I could feel the guilt trip tightening around my chest. Every word felt like a weight pressing down on me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shout, "You don't get it! This is my life, my dream. I've spent years scraping by, learning to design, learning to market, learning to fight every obstacle. I can't just give it away for a party." "Adam," I said finally, my voice stronger than I felt, "I can't throw money at a wedding. Every dollar is tied up in the store right now. I'm paying for payroll, importing gemstones, rent, utilities. I can't risk my business for a party." His face soured. I could see the disappointment, the judgment, the pure assumption that I'd cave anyway. Then he hung up abruptly. "We'll talk later," he muttered. 2 days later, the storm hit again. My phone rang. It was Dad. Donald Lawson, 60 years old, voice rough and grating, the kind of voice that brooked no opposition. "Rebecca," he barked, skipping the usual greetings. "You're paying for your brother's wedding. No excuses. You've got that fancy shop-making bank. It's your duty to help family." I tried reasoning, laying it out patiently. "Dad, I can't afford 60 grand. I'd have to dip into business savings, and that's not an option. The store is my dream. I can't risk it for a wedding I don't even want to fund." "Dreams don't matter," he shouted. "I sacrificed for you kids, and now you're greedy and ungrateful. You'll regret this." I hung up shaking. My stomach twisted into knots. His words stung, but I wasn't backing down. Lawson Gems wasn't just a business. It was my lifeline, my identity. I had spent years learning, failing, rising again. I wasn't about to let it bleed for a wedding I didn't even want to attend. Dad wasn't done. He called the next day, trying a different tone, the proud father card. "Your brother deserves this," he said, soft and deceptively kind. "You're the successful one. Show some heart." I repeated myself, calm but firm. "The store comes first." He hung up, muttering something about regret and disappointment, leaving me frustrated, angry, and exhausted. Then came Mom. Beverly Lawson, 58, added me to a family group chat with Adam and Marissa. Her message was filled with emojis and excitement. So excited for the wedding! Let's make it perfect for our boy. Attached was a link to Marissa's Instagram post showing her engagement ring and flawless smile, captioned, "Dream Wedding Loading. Thanks to family love." I typed a quick reply. "Mom, I'm not paying for the whole thing, I've made that clear." Her response came instantly, dripping with disappointment. "Rebecca, don't ruin this for your brother. We're all pitching in." Except no one else had offered anything. Over the next week, Adam's texts became relentless. "You're really going to make me beg. Embarrassing." Marissa sent long private messages, dripping with faux sweetness about how my support would make their wedding look perfect for her brand. I ignored them, but the guilt was like a shadow in the back of my mind. I had spent years proving myself in Lincoln's tight-knit community. Every custom necklace, every client referral, every magazine feature, it had all been painstaking work. And yet, my family treated me as if my success existed to serve their whims. Mom's messages kept coming, subtle jabs masked as encouragement. "Your brother's so happy. Wish you'd share the joy." Not a single word asking how I was, how my store was, how I was coping with the constant pressure. By the end of the month, I felt trapped. My phone became a device of torment. Then Dad made his final call before the wedding chaos escalated. Cold. Ice. "You're either with us or against us, Rebecca. Choose wisely." I didn't respond. I sat in my office staring at a new sapphire ring design, wondering how the people who claim to love you could see your hard-earned success as their entitlement. They thought they could bully me. They thought they could break me. They were about to find out how wrong they were. A month later, the first explosion hit online. I had caved, reluctantly, and agreed to chip in $5,000 for Marissa's wedding jewelry, a custom sapphire necklace from Lawson Gems. It was a calculated move: cover the cost, keep the peace, maintain my dignity. I thought it would stop the harassment. It didn't. Marissa and Adam went rogue. They added 100 VIP guests, booked a celebrity DJ, upgraded the menu to a seafood feast with lobster and caviar, and somehow convinced the vendors to list me as the primary contact for all payments. The budget blew past $60,000, heading into unknown territory. Then came Instagram. Marissa's posts flooded the internet. "Big thanks to my amazing sister-in-law for funding our dream day." Likes, shares, and comments exploded. My stomach sank. I hadn't agreed to fund the whole wedding. My reputation, my business, my careful brand. It was being hijacked for their fantasy. I called Adam. No answer. Texted him. "Stop overreacting. This is our moment." My blood boiled. They were using my name, my business, and my success to fuel their social media circus. I wanted to scream, to confront them, but I had to be strategic. I had to protect my store and myself. That's when Sheila, my store manager and best friend since college, stepped in. "Rebecca, this is bad," she said, scrolling through the posts. "We need to check the contracts. They've gone behind your back." And that's when the first real cracks appeared, the kind that would turn my family's greed into full-blown chaos. After the first wave of family pressure, I thought the worst was behind me. I was wrong. The nightmare didn't stop with my reluctant $5,000 contribution for Marissa's sapphire necklace. It only escalated. The morning after sending the necklace order to my store's supplier, I sat at my desk, sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through my emails. That's when it hit me. Marissa had posted her first Instagram story, tagging Lawson Gems. "Big thanks to my amazing sister-in-law for funding our dream day. Hashtag Jars Lawson Wedding Fund. Hashtag Blessed. Hashtag Family First." My stomach dropped. My heart pounded. I hadn't agreed to fund the wedding. I hadn't signed off on any social media promotion. And yet, there it was, in glaring digital ink, implying that I had bankrolled their entire fantasy. I picked up the phone and called Adam. No answer. Texted him. Take down the posts, I'm not funding the entire wedding. 5 minutes later, his response arrived. Relax, Rebecca, it's just marketing, it's good for your brand. Don't be dramatic. I stared at my phone, blinking. Dramatic? I wanted to throw it across the room. They were hijacking my name, my business, my hard-earned reputation, and they called me dramatic? Sheila, my store manager and best friend, had come into the office to check inventory. She noticed my scowl immediately. Rebecca, what's wrong? She asked, peering at my screen. They're using my name, my store, to fund their wedding, I said, my voice tight with frustration. I showed her the Instagram posts. Sheila scrolled through them slowly, lips pressed together. Oh. Oh no, this is bad. They're making it look like you're footing the entire bill. I sank into my chair. I can't have clients thinking I'm just some sugar mama. My reputation, my store. My voice trailed off. Sheila nodded gravely. We need to check the wedding contracts, look through the vendor emails Adam forwarded. I dug through my inbox and found them, buried beneath weeks of other business correspondence. Sheila's sharp eyes scanned the pages. Rebecca, look at this. I leaned over. The updated contract from the Hilton Lincoln wedding planner listed my name as the primary contact for all payments. The total amount? $75,000. $15,000 over the original budget. I felt my chest tighten. They went behind my back, I whispered. My mind raced. They assumed I'd cave. They assumed I'd let them exploit me like this. I tried calling Dad, hoping he'd intervene. His voice was cold from the start. What's your problem now, Rebecca? He snapped. I explained everything, the Instagram posts, the bloated budget, the contract listing me as responsible. He laughed, harsh and dismissive. You're making a big deal out of nothing. This is your brother's happiness. Why are you trying to ruin it? I'm not ruining anything, I snapped. They're lying about my involvement. They're using my name to cover their expenses, and they're making it look like I funded the entire wedding. His reply was icy. Stop being dramatic. Let them have their day. And then he hung up. I stared at the phone, the sting of his words sharper than I expected. My own father, who had once seemed like a possible ally, refused to see the manipulation, the exploitation, the humiliation. The pressure didn't stop. Marissa's followers, some local, some strangers, flooded my Instagram with comments tagging my business. Rebecca Lawson Gems, you're the best for this one. And, can you fund my wedding too? LOL. It wasn't funny. My inbox filled with messages from clients asking if I was really bankrolling the wedding. I spent hours clarifying, responding, defending myself, and trying to maintain my professional image. I couldn't sleep. At night, I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about every step I had taken to build Lawson Gems from scratch. The late nights, the loans I'd taken, the sleepless anxiety over supplier payments. And now, here I was, trapped in a family circus that didn't care about my hard work. The day before the wedding, I went into the store early. Sheila had already arrived, coffee in hand, looking worried. Rebecca, we need a plan, she said. You can't let this escalate any further. I nodded, my hands trembling slightly. I know, but every move I make, they're watching. Marissa, Adam, even Dad. They're ready to twist this into more public humiliation. Sheila suggested we contact the vendors directly, clarify payments, and make sure nothing else could be charged to my name. We need documentation, she said. Emails, contracts, anything they could use against you. I spent hours that morning drafting emails to the Hilton, the DJ, the caterers, and even the florist. Each message was precise, polite, and firm. Rebecca Lawson will not be responsible for charges beyond the sapphire necklace. Any additional costs must be covered by Adam Lawson or Marissa Jars. By afternoon, I felt slightly relieved. At least the official channels were covered. But the social media storm was far from over. Marissa posted another story, this one showing herself in a designer gown, a champagne glass in hand, smiling like nothing could touch her. She tagged me again. Can't wait for our hashtag dream wedding. Thanks to my amazing sister-in-law for making this day possible. Hashtag Lawson Gems, hashtag family love. I could feel my blood boiling. They weren't asking permission, they were declaring it. My $5,000 contribution for the sapphire necklace had been inflated, distorted, and turned into an illusion that I was funding a $75,000 wedding. I considered calling Adam again, but every attempt had ended in dismissal, excuses, or outright lies. He wouldn't defend me. He was fully aligned with Marissa. And Dad had made it clear he would never see it from my perspective. I spent the night pacing my apartment, drafting possible responses, deleting them, redrafting, deleting again. I thought about confronting them publicly, exposing the truth on social media. But I hesitated. A direct confrontation could backfire. Marissa's following alone could drown out my voice, turning my story into fodder for mockery rather than justice. Sleep came in fragments. Every hour my phone buzzed with notifications, comments, tags, likes, each one a reminder of how far my family was willing to go to exploit me. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about the store, the sapphire necklace, and the fire that was starting to burn inside me. I realized, in that sleepless haze, that I couldn't let them win. Not in my store, not in my reputation, not in my life. Whatever they planned, whatever lies they posted, I would fight. Not with anger, not with rage, but with precision, strategy, and an ironclad plan to protect myself, my business, and my dignity. The wedding was tomorrow. The stage was set, the guests ready, the Instagram posts lined up like bullets aimed at me. And I knew one thing for certain. My family had underestimated me. They thought I would fold under the pressure, that I would let them hijack my success without a fight. They were wrong. The day of Adam and Marissa's wedding arrived with a crisp spring breeze, the kind that made the Hilton Lincoln's glass doors glint in the sunlight. I had spent the previous night tossing and turning, drafting emails, scrolling through Marissa's social media, and trying not to let my anxiety eat me alive. I had made peace with one thing. Whatever happened today, I would not let my family's greed or their manipulations ruin me or my store. I arrived early, hours before the first guests. The lobby was buzzing with wedding planners, florists, and caterers moving like a perfectly choreographed army. A massive chandelier sparkled above us, throwing prisms of light across the marble floor. Every detail screamed extravagance, the kind of day most couples could only dream of, but I couldn't help thinking about the nightmare it had taken to get here. My heart sank when I saw the guest list. Adam and Marissa had added over 100 extra VIPs without my knowledge. The original plan had been 30 guests. Now the ballroom was crammed with 300 people, all dressed in tuxes and gowns, ready to celebrate a wedding that I was only tangentially funding. And thanks to Marissa's Instagram, the event had already gone viral in certain circles. I walked through the corridors of the Hilton, checking vendor setups. The flowers were exquisite, the tables adorned with gold-rimmed plates, crystal glasses, and elaborate floral arrangements. The DJ had flown in from Omaha at an astronomical cost. And somewhere, amidst it all, was the sapphire necklace I had ordered, the one piece I had actually paid for. Then I saw him, my father. Donald Lawson, 60, standing near the entrance, greeting guests with a fake smile that didn't reach his eyes. I walked up to him. "Dad," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "we need to talk about the contracts. I am only responsible for the necklace, nothing else." He waved me off dismissively. "Rebecca, relax. Don't be dramatic. Let them enjoy their day." His tone was ice cold, as if I had no right to speak at all. I felt my blood boil, but I swallowed my anger. I wasn't here to fight him. Not yet. My fight was with Adam, Marissa, and the narrative they had built around me. The ceremony began, and I took my seat near the back, trying to blend into the crowd. Marissa walked down the aisle, radiant, her dress a masterpiece of silk and lace. Adam's eyes were glued to her, completely enthralled. The officiant's words flowed over the guests, but all I could hear was the hum of my own heartbeat and the swirling mix of anxiety and rage inside me. Then it happened. Midway, through the vows, I noticed a photographer focusing on me. My stomach sank. They were filming me, the evil sister or generous benefactor, depending on the angle, capturing every expression for Marissa's feed. I felt every eye on me, judging me, assuming I had funded this entire spectacle. By the time the cocktail hour began, the situation had escalated. Marissa was posting live updates on Instagram, tagging me in every shot. Champagne glasses clinked, guests laughed, and my name was plastered across posts like a brand logo. Thanks to my amazing sister-in-law, our day is perfect. Hash Lawson Gems, blessed, dream wedding. I stepped outside into the courtyard, needing air. Sheila followed closely. They're killing you with social media, she said softly. You need to do something now. I nodded. I can't yell at them here, too many witnesses. But I can control the truth. I can show them I'm not their ATM, not their puppet, not their scapegoat. We went through the vendor contracts again, ensuring every bill was explicitly tied to Adam and Marissa. I personally spoke to the caterers, the DJ, and the florist. Each one confirmed that I was only financially responsible for the sapphire necklace. One by one, I cut off the channels they were trying to exploit. Meanwhile, the posts kept coming. Marissa, glowing with a perfect smile, held the sapphire necklace in one hand and a champagne glass in the other. Comments poured in. Rebecca is so generous. Wow, Lawson Gems really made this wedding happen. I wish my sister-in-law was like Rebecca. My fingers itched to reply, to correct the record, but Sheila reminded me to stay calm. Let them think what they want publicly. We have documentation. We have proof. We fight smart, not angry. But then the real chaos hit. During the reception, my father, who had already humiliated me verbally for weeks, slammed his hand across my face after I dared to correct the photographer. The hall went silent. Phones whipped out instantly. Every guest froze, some in shock, some whispering, others filming. The humiliation was public, the embarrassment instant and viral. I felt my cheeks burn, but instead of retreating, I stood taller. I looked around, made eye contact with Sheila, and whispered, "Not today. Not now. I'm not backing down." Guests murmured, but I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I didn't let the slap define me. I had come too far, fought too hard, built too much. My identity, my business, my boundaries. No wedding, no social media frenzy, and certainly no family pressure would take that away. As the night progressed, I noticed a subtle shift. Some guests approached me quietly, asking if I was really funding the wedding. I smiled, calmly explaining that I was only responsible for the sapphire necklace. The truth began to trickle through the crowd. Small whispers spread. A few followers of Marissa's account messaged me directly, asking for clarification. I responded politely, professionally, and firmly. By the end of the night, I realized something crucial. I had survived their social media circus, their lies, and their manipulation. My reputation, though shaken, was intact. I had been publicly humiliated, yes, but I had also shown strength, composure, and clarity that no one could take away. As I left the Hilton, sapphire necklace safely in hand, I thought about everything that had happened, The relentless texts, the family guilt trips, the bloated budget, the Instagram posts, and the public slap. Each moment had been a test, and I had passed. But this was only the beginning. The wedding was over, the immediate chaos subsiding, but I knew my family would not forget. They had tried to exploit me, humiliate me, and control me, and I had survived. I had my store, my name, my integrity, and now it was time to plan the next steps, the real way to flip the script and reclaim control over my life, my money, and my family's behavior. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of satisfaction. Not triumph, not victory, not yet, but a spark. The fire inside me, ignited by betrayal and manipulation, was ready to burn brighter than any sapphire in my collection. This wedding had been their day, their spectacle, their Instagram fantasy. But my story? My story was just beginning. The morning after Adam and Marissa's wedding, the world didn't stop for me, though I wished it would. My body ached from lack of sleep, my mind whirring from the whirlwind of the previous day. The Hilton Lincoln had hosted a spectacle, a lavish display of opulence, excess, and Instagram-perfect moments. But I had survived. I had survived a public slap from my father, viral Instagram posts claiming I funded a $75,000 wedding, and the overwhelming feeling of betrayal by the people who were supposed to care about me most. I returned to Lawson Gems that morning with Sheila by my side, the sapphire necklace, the only piece I had truly paid for, safely secured in a display case. The store was quiet, a small reprieve from the chaos, but the fallout had already begun. My phone buzzed incessantly. Clients, followers, even random strangers commenting on Marissa's Instagram posts. "Are you really funding this wedding? I saw the posts. So generous. Can I hire you to fund my wedding too?" I took a deep breath. Patience, strategy, clarity. This was my mantra now. Sheila and I spent the morning drafting clear, polite responses. We posted a statement on Lawson Gems Instagram. Lawson Gems is proud to support a custom sapphire necklace for a family wedding. We are not responsible for the overall wedding expenses. All other costs are managed by the couple. Thank you for understanding. It was professional, precise, firm. But the response was mixed. Some clients were supportive. Others were curious, even skeptical. And of course, Marissa's followers were relentless. Comments continued to pour in, some accusatory, some congratulatory, and some downright entitled. While I sorted the social media storm, my phone rang. It was Dad. Donald Lawson, his voice still icy. "Rebecca, you're making a scene. People are talking. Why are you stirring this up?" "I'm clarifying facts," I said evenly. "You, Adam, and Marissa misrepresented my involvement. I am only responsible for the sapphire necklace." "You're being ridiculous," he snapped. "It's my son's wedding. Let it go." "No, Dad," I said firmly, feeling a strength I hadn't realized I possessed. "I won't let my name and business be hijacked. Not by them, not by you, not by anyone." He hung up, and I felt a small surge of victory, though tempered by exhaustion. At least I had drawn a line. The next challenge came from Adam and Marissa themselves. Adam sent a series of texts over the day, ranging from passive-aggressive pleas to outright demands. "Why are you making this harder than it has to be?" And, "You're embarrassing me in front of our friends." Marissa, meanwhile, sent long DMs dripping with faux sweetness. "Rebecca, it's just marketing. It makes your brand look amazing. Don't be so uptight. You're making a big deal over nothing." I ignored them both. Every text I sent was carefully crafted, polite but firm. "I have fulfilled my agreed-upon responsibility. The sapphire necklace. All other expenses are yours." By the afternoon, I realized something important. They had assumed I would crumble under pressure. They had assumed guilt, shame, or fear would make me back down. But they had underestimated one thing: my determination. I had built Lawson Gems from scratch. I had fought every obstacle in business, and I would not allow my family to manipulate me like they had manipulated the wedding. Sheila and I decided to take the next step: legal documentation. We drafted emails to the Hilton, the DJ, the caterers, and the florist, reiterating that all payments beyond the sapphire necklace were the responsibility of Adam and Marissa. Copies were kept meticulously. If they tried to charge anything to my name, I would have proof. As the day progressed, I noticed subtle changes in the family's behavior. Aunts and uncles who had been quietly judging me suddenly approached, asking if I was really funding the wedding. Some whispered their support. "We didn't know it got this out of hand," one cousin said softly. "Don't let them take advantage of you." It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. The truth was beginning to filter through, quietly undermining the false narrative Marissa had built. Then came the unexpected blow: an email from a local wedding blog. One of Marissa's Instagram posts had gone viral, and a journalist was reaching out for comment. They wanted my side of the story. I stared at the screen, feeling a mix of dread and opportunity. This was dangerous. One wrong move could make me look vindictive, but it was also my chance to reclaim control. Sheila leaned over. "This is your chance," she said softly. "Be professional, factual, and firm. Stick to the truth. No emotion, just the facts." I drafted a response carefully. Lawson Gems is proud to have contributed a custom sapphire necklace for the wedding of Adam Lawson and Marissa Jars. Lawson Gems is not responsible for any other wedding expenses. Any posts implying otherwise are inaccurate. We support the couple in celebrating their day, but our involvement is limited to the custom jewelry we provided. Sent. A small sense of relief washed over me. Finally, the truth was out there, clear and undeniable. But the day wasn't over. Later that evening, Adam confronted me in private. His voice was sharp, tinged with frustration. "Rebecca, why are you making a big deal about this? Everyone thinks you're generous. Why ruin the narrative?" I looked him in the eye. "Adam, the narrative is a lie. You and Marissa assumed I would fund your fantasy. You used my name, my business, and my reputation without consent. That ends now." He hesitated, stunned by my firmness. For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his expression. The power dynamic had shifted. I was no longer the passive sister who would quietly pay for the wedding. I was standing my ground, backed by facts, contracts, and undeniable truth. Marissa tried to interject, her usual Instagram perfect grin faltering. "Rebecca, it's just branding. You'll benefit too. Look at the exposure." I shook my head. "I will benefit from professionalism, integrity, and boundaries, not from being exploited. You'll need to manage your day without dragging my name into it." By the time I left the Hilton, the night had grown quiet. The guests had departed, the sparkling lights dimmed, and the last echoes of the celebration faded. I held the sapphire necklace carefully in my hand, a tangible symbol of my measured involvement, my control, and my boundaries. I realized something crucial. Surviving this day wasn't about winning a battle. It was about claiming my agency, asserting my boundaries, and showing my family that manipulation and entitlement would not dictate my life. I had survived public humiliation, social media hijacking, and relentless pressure. I had survived their greed, and I had done so with grace, strategy, and strength. As I walked into my apartment, exhausted but resolute, I thought about the next steps. My family had underestimated me. They had assumed I would crumble under their pressure, let them exploit my success, and silently endure their greed. They were wrong. And now, the real plan to flip the script, protect my business, and teach my family a lesson in boundaries and respect could begin. The days following Adam and Marissa's wedding were a whirlwind of aftermath, social media scrutiny, and family tension. But I had a plan now, one born from weeks of manipulation, public humiliation, and relentless pressure. My goal was clear: reclaim my name, my business, and my dignity, and teach my family the consequences of greed and entitlement. I started with Lawson Gems. Sheila and I poured ourselves into inventory, bookkeeping, and client outreach. Each phone call, each email, each social media post was an opportunity to reinforce the truth. I had contributed only the sapphire necklace, nothing else. Slowly, clients began to understand. Comments that had been accusatory turned supportive. "Thank you for clarifying, Rebecca. Don't let anyone misrepresent your generosity. We've always known you're professional and fair. Keep shining." The relief was palpable, but the work wasn't over. I had to confront the source of the chaos directly: Adam and Marissa. It began with an email: clear, firm, professional. I detailed the facts: my $5,000 contribution, the sapphire necklace, and the misrepresentation on social media. I attached vendor contracts, screenshots of emails, and invoices, irrefutable proof that all other wedding expenses were their responsibility. I requested the immediate removal of misleading Instagram posts and clarification to Marissa's followers. Hours later, Adam called. His voice was sharp, defensive. "Rebecca, you're overreacting. Everyone thinks you're amazing. Why ruin it?" I took a deep breath, letting my resolve sharpen. "Adam, you and Marissa created a false narrative using my name and my business without consent. That ends now. The posts come down, the record is corrected, and all future representations must be accurate. I am not your ATM. I am not your social media prop. I am your sister, and I deserve respect." There was silence on the line, then a hesitant, almost uncertain tone. "Fine. We'll handle it." I hung up, feeling a surge of triumph. For the first time in weeks, they had acknowledged my authority, not grudgingly, but because the facts were undeniable. But the final reckoning wasn't just with Adam and Marissa, it was with my parents. I called Dad first. "Donald," I said calmly, "you made threats, tried to guilt me, and attempted to coerce me into funding the wedding. I've maintained professionalism, clarified my contribution, and protected my business. Moving forward, I expect respect and boundaries. This is non-negotiable." There was a pause. Then, surprisingly, a quiet voice. "Rebecca, I see." I hung up, feeling a sense of victory that had nothing to do with the wedding or the money. It was the victory of agency, control, and self-respect. Mom was next. She sent a flurry of texts, some defensive, some apologetic. I responded once clearly. "Mom, I appreciate your intentions, but I cannot and will not allow my business or my name to be used without consent. Respecting boundaries is part of being a family." The next week, I noticed subtle shifts in family dynamics. Adam and Marissa's social media was quieter regarding the wedding. Posts referencing me directly were carefully edited or removed entirely. Extended family members approached me with support, quietly acknowledging the unfairness I had endured. Lawson Gems, meanwhile, flourished. The incident, though stressful, had inadvertently reinforced my reputation. Clients admired my professionalism, my firm stance, and my refusal to be exploited. New commissions poured in: custom necklaces, engagement rings, and even a small boutique hotel partnership for exclusive designs. One afternoon, Sheila and I sat in the office, reviewing orders. "You did it," she said, eyes sparkling. "You stood your ground, protected the store, and showed everyone who really runs this show." I smiled, a mix of relief and pride. It wasn't easy, but sometimes people need to see boundaries enforced. Sometimes you have to let them push, and then push back. Then came the final touch, a message from Marissa. Short, direct. "Rebecca, I understand. The posts are down. The narrative is corrected. Thank you for clarifying. No sarcasm, no manipulation, just acknowledgement." I realized then that the real victory wasn't in punishing them, it was in reclaiming control. My name, my business, my peace of mind. Weeks later, I held the sapphire necklace in my hands, polished, sparkling, and untarnished by the chaos surrounding it. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a symbol of resilience, strategy, and integrity. I had survived manipulation, public scrutiny, and family greed. I had emerged stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. The story spread quietly through the community. Some still whispered, some praised, but the truth endured. Rebecca Lawson had faced betrayal, public humiliation, and exploitation, and she had reclaimed her power with grace and strategy. That night, I locked the store after a long day of work, standing before the display of custom rings and necklaces I had created from nothing. I realized the lesson was clear. Success could be measured in sales, in social media likes, or in fancy parties, but true success was measured in control over your life, your business, and your choices. I poured a glass of wine, letting the tension of the past weeks melt away. Outside, the city lights of Lincoln sparkled, just like the gemstones I worked with every day. And I knew this. No wedding, no family, no social media circus could ever take away the power, creativity, and integrity I had built. The fire ignited by betrayal had burned brightly, but it had not consumed me. Instead, it had forged a stronger, smarter, unshakable version of myself. I wasn't just Rebecca Lawson, the sister, the daughter, or the jeweler. I was Rebecca Lawson, a woman who built her dreams from scratch, faced betrayal, and emerged victorious. And this time, I would never let anyone, family or otherwise, assume they could take that away.